Okay, because a couple of you demanded it, here is a little extra video for Batman Beyond month. I'd already done an episode tier list, and I had a handful of comments from people saying, well, what about this episode where Terry McGinnis also appeared? What about this episode of this show? Blah, 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 blah. And one of you, one very smart person, said, hey, why don't you do another tier list video? So, all right, here is my mini tier list video. It's going to be a very quick one talking about the episodes of other cartoons where Terry McGinnis Batman Beyond appears. Okay, first one is Epilogue. Now, one of the great things about Batman Beyond is they kind of introduced this idea that anyone could be Batman with the right level of support and with the right attitude. Now, Epilogue, for those that haven't seen it, turn this video off now because here's a big spoiler. You probably already know, most of you, but I'm just going to go into it. I'm sorry, I failed to keep Epilogue a secret. I'm going to have to turn in my Watchtower Database membership badge. But they reveal that Amanda Waller had altered Terry's father's reproductive DNA to have his reproductive DNA was replaced with Bruce Wayne's. There we go. Hope that doesn't get me demonetized. Effectively making Terry McGinnis Bruce Wayne's son. It also makes Matt McGinnis Bruce Wayne's son. So that's why the two children have the black hair, yet his mother's redhead and his father is brown hair. So that kind of a little slightly undermines the message of Batman Beyond a little bit, that like, well, Terry was only able to be Batman because he's Batman's son. And one thing I just want to get off my chest, because this really boils my blood. I was going to say a rude word then. When people say, oh, Terry McGinnis is Bruce Wayne's clone. No, he's not. That's not how bloody childbirth works. He has got half of Bruce Wayne's DNA. He has half of his mother's DNA. He is a child of Bruce Wayne, not a clone. And that's the whole point that Amanda Waller tries to make to him when he learns that he is Bruce Wayne's son. He says, oh, there's no way I could have avoided this fate. I'm cursed. I'm just going to be like Bruce Wayne, blah, blah, blah. And Amanda Waller says to him, well, that's not true at all. You're not a clone. You're his son. You've got some of his good parts and you missed out on some of his attributes. Terry had missed out on Bruce's brilliant brain, for instance, but he's got his heart. And he is Batman because he chooses to be Batman. Now, I'm going to do a video about this later on, I'm sure. But those are just some of my rambling thoughts on Epilogue, and I think it's a wonderful episode. And I'm going to give it an S right at the top. I love the moment at the end of the episode, which calls back to the opening shots from On Leather Wings, the first Batman the Animated Series episode. So you have Terry's shadow cast on buildings as he's flying through Gotham, and he goes up past one of the police flying cars, and there's a little policeman go, oh, do you see that? Just like in On Leather Wings, where Man-Bat flies past the policeman, they go, oh, did you see that? And then he flies past Gotham, casting his shadow on Gotham City. Beautiful stuff. Love it. It's amazing. Absolutely the best. Next, we have the Static Shock episode, Future Shock. So this one is involves Static being brought to the Batman Beyond era, but Static teams up with Terry to rescue the world's greatest hero who's been held prisoner by Cobra, and it turns out that the world's greatest hero of that era is Virgil, Static. So he gets to meet his grown-up self, who is a very accomplished and confident hero, which is nice for Virgil to see, considering he's a little bit insecure about his abilities. That was a really great episode. I'm going to put it on the A just because I suppose I could put it on S, but I'm going to put it on A because it wasn't one of my favourite episodes of Static Shock. It was a very good one though. Next we have Justice League Once and Future Thing Part 2. Yes. So in this episode, or in this story, I suppose, Wonder Woman, Batman and Green Lantern have been pursuing Kronos, who is a villain from the Batman Beyond era, who's been travelling back in time and stealing artifacts. And one of the things he tries to steal is Batman's utility belt from the Watchtower, but Batman catches him in the act. Kronos legs it through a time portal, and the three heroes follow after him. They end up in the past with Jonah Hex and El Diablo and some other characters. And when they pursue Kronos again, he takes them to a potential future of the Batman Beyond era, where basically reality is unfolding because of all of Kronos' meddling. And most of the Justice League are dead. The only survivors are Warhawk, Batman, Static as a much older man, and elderly Bruce Wayne. And there's a nice moment where the young Bruce Wayne and elderly Bruce Wayne kind of greet each other. It's like, oh, I'm surprised I lived this long. My favourite moment, though, is when younger Bruce Wayne is interrogating the Joker Ghoul. He's like holding him over the edge of the building, threatening to drop him. He goes, you better hurry up and tell me because my arm's getting tired. Elderly Bruce Wayne pushes his way to the front. He goes, I can't believe I was ever that naive. Grabs Ghoul, drags him off. And we don't actually see what elderly Bruce says or does to make Ghoul talk. But when we come back to Ghoul, he's blabbing about everything. Everything about Kronos. Lots of his own personal information. Very great moment. Very strong episode. Really high quality. I'm also going to put this on... I'm going to put it on A because there's a lingering question in my mind. At the end of the episode, Green Lantern and Batman are the only ones that remember what happened. Now, a question I have. Present-day Batman knows who Terry McGinnis is. Therefore, when he ages up to be elderly Bruce Wayne and Terry McGinnis turns up at his doorstep, he knows who he is and he knows what's going to happen. Or he should do. That might explain a lot of actions of elderly Bruce Wayne, but something I'm going to have to think more about. Now, obviously, this episode came out long after Batman Beyond, so there's no way the writers would have, the Batman Beyond writers would have known that, but food for thought anyway. All right, and the last one is a Zeta Project episode. I've completely forgotten what it's called. I think it was called Shadows, or Shadows was in the title. One of the other hunter-killer machines is going on a rampage, and Batman assumes that it's Zeta because I guess he doesn't really trust Zeta, despite the fact that they've crossed over. What is this, their second crossover or is this their third crossover? Anyway, Terry really should be trusting Zeta trusting that Zeta is not the rampaging killer that Agent Bennett thinks he is. And I found that a little frustrating. I was watching this episode thinking, no, Terry wouldn't do that. He wouldn't assume the worst about Zeta. He'd figure out there was something else going on. But it was a decent episode of the Zeta Project, probably on par with pretty much every other episode. So I'll give that one a B. Okay, and that's it. That's all of Terry McGinnis's other appearances in the DC animated universe. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I bet there will be people that will disagree with my choices to put Future Shock and Once and Future Thing on the A tier. And I open the floor to you for conversation. All right, thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed. Take care. Bye.